And so the session is titled Belonging, Networks as Imagined Communities and How YELP Can Contribute to Building Resilient Fellows. My panel today, I'm joined by Cleofash, my valedictorian, and Mohamed and Malath. I'll ask you all to briefly introduce yourselves in that order. So Cleofash, Mohamed, and then Malath. So please introduce yourselves and then we will begin.
Yes, thank you very much. Yes, Cleofash Alinaitwe is my name. It's a pleasure being here today. Of course, I'll thank the entire organizing team for giving me this opportunity to share my insights today. Yeah, back to you, Isaac.
Thank you, Cleofash. Mohamed, please introduce yourself.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible enough. First of all, I want to thank the Leo Africa Institute, the team, for putting all this effort to bring us together again and again, and creating such an incredible platform for us to grow and exchange ideas that can improve our lives and the lives of people surrounding us. To introduce myself, my name is Mohamed Okash. I'm the head of innovations of SIMAD iLab, which is a full-fledged innovation hub based in Mogadishu. I'm YELP Fellow, the class of 2019, and the Valedictorian of my class. So pleasure again for joining this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, Malath. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. Good morning. I hope I'm audible enough too. Yes, so thank you so much for giving me an opportunity once again to take part in discussions that can help us steer our lives forward and our community forward. My name is Malath Ochieng, and I'm a YELP class of 2018, and I'm the current head of programs at a local NGO called Challenge Kenya, based in Nairobi. And I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Right. Apologies, I didn't introduce the final panelist, Beverly Chogo. Beverly, please introduce yourself.
That's okay, Isaac. Hello, everyone. My name is Beverly Chogo, and I am the country lead for NPACT. NPACT is a non-profit based in Berlin, Germany. So we have our offices in Kenya. And our work revolves around supporting entrepreneurship in emerging economies. So very happy to be here, and I am looking forward to the conversation. Thank you.
Thank you all. I didn't introduce myself, so I'll do that now. So my name is Isaac Rugamba, part of the inaugural class in 2017. I work as a senior analyst at Vanguard Economics, which is a research and advisory firm based here in Kigali, Rwanda. And as the other panelists said, I'm also delighted to be here and to take part in this conversation. So we'll get started. So I think Liz mentioned yesterday during her panel that she wasn't quite sure what she was applying to when she joined YELP. Same with me. I didn't really know, I didn't really have any expectations, to be honest, on what it was going to be. But, you know, as soon as I joined, you know, that quickly changed. And I wanted to find out from the panelists, what did you expect when you joined YELP? So I'll begin in reverse order. So Beverly, I'll begin with you. When you joined YELP, you know, what did you think it was going to be? And how would you describe your journey?
I think let me answer it a bit differently in the sense of how it turned out to be different than what other programs that have been have looked like. So first of all, the fact that we walked the journey for a whole year, and the fact that we would meet after every quarter, that really solidified engagement, really solidified the relationships that we had. So oftentimes you find most of these programs, you do like a 5-day thingy if it like before Corona, we would do like a 5-day thing. And then maybe they really try to engage you through the newsletters and a few events here and there, or even online. But how YELP has turned out to be so different is those engagements over the years, and there's still a very active community till this very moment, at least for us, the class of 2018. So I really love how we've still gotten to be in touch over the years. Like it just didn't happen in 2018, and then you take a box or you put it in your CV that I was part of this program at some point. But even right now, 2-3 years later on, there's still something to show for it. And I loved what Barbara said earlier on, and she was talking about, like, is there anything that you can show for having been part of this? Like, are you just being part of it for the sake of being part of it? And oftentimes you go through some leadership programs just on autopilot mode. But I'd like to appreciate the Institute for making very deliberate efforts towards ensuring that the community still is active, still engaging, still going. So that's how it's been different for me.
Thank you, Beverly. Malath, how would you describe your journey with YELP from when you applied to today?
Okay, so mine is just the same as what one of my fellows have said. I wasn't sure of what I was applying for, like Liz said yesterday during the panelist session. And what was deep down inside me when I met the advert online was looking for a sense of belonging. I was looking for a group with a common purpose, a group that is driven. Then again, being a young individual in the career world, I was also looking for an opportunity to explore and also interact with individuals from different countries. And I think that is one of the most outstanding thing that I got to enjoy when I joined YELP immediately. Here was a situation whereby you are in a group of people from different countries. You've met friends with people from Rwanda, people from DRC, people from Burundi, and it was a very beautiful experience. Then through the years, I've realized that what we were learning from the YELP community was more of a challenge to us individuals. When we finished and when we graduated from our class, there was a lot of fire burning in me to pursue opportunities that can challenge me and opportunities that can build me career-wise. And that is what I did. And I ensured that whatever I do, I carry the name of the YELP community high. And the fact that we have different sources of communication has even made it better, because you get to enjoy both the social part of being a YELP, and also you get to enjoy the network or the purpose nature of being a member of the YELP community.
Thank you, Malath. Mohamed, over to you. What is your experience with YELP been like from when you joined to today, and how has it had an impact on you?
Yeah. Thanks very much, Isaac. That's a very good question. I think my story is quite different than my fellows' their story, because of maybe my class was the last class of the YELP, because I knew some of the fellows before from various institutions. I was a member of Kampala Hub, Global Shapers Community in Kampala Hub of the World Economic Forum, where we had so many YELPs who really were different than other shapers in the community in terms of how they think, how they take risks, and how they do their leadership work. And then I was intimidated, inspired by them. At the time, I was a student pursuing my master's in Kampala. Then I tried to apply the class of 2018. I wasn't selected, maybe because of my country was not eligible to apply, because I'm from Somalia, and the fellowship was only eligible for the East African community countries, some of them. And then I knew my country wasn't in the list, but I was taking a risk. I was willing to open so many doors for myself and for my fellow countrymates. So what happened? I never stopped. I applied the second year, and I was good selected. Thanks for the Institute for giving me the opportunity. So I think I'm one of the rare fellows who applied twice and get into the program. And the journey was really interesting and amazing, and it was very unique. I came to Uganda to pursue my master's, but what I've gained, the skills, the network, the mindset change, the attitude I found from the fellowship was quite more investing than the program I came for Uganda, which was the master's program. So many things happened in the course of the fellowship, which was most of them were the first things was happening to me in my life. For example, I'm always someone who loves to connect myself with the nature. So the first seminar we had in the resort, which is quite interesting, venue. Thanks Awil and Kwezi for selecting that space. So I was given a challenge. It was the first time I was asked to host a campfire session. So with the people whom I've never met with them, with the people who came from different backgrounds. And it's my first setting that I host a session in such setting, in such an international setting, because we were fellows coming from almost more than 8 countries in Africa. So I had to make stories, tell the stories, and make sure everybody have fun and you leave them with some memories. So and again we were in Kalangala, and then we were in Mestil, and all the journey was unique. Every time we were having a very interesting experience. The structure of the fellowship was really amazing. The content, the readings we have, in the conversations we are engaging were thought provocative, were futuristic, were change oriented conversations, and not only at a personal scale but also at community level. I think that has led us to grow and think broader than ourselves, and make bold steps in our career, personal lives, and also help the people surrounding our lives. So in general, it was amazing, and I was really very honored to be part of this community. And finally, the story that began applying twice, then ended becoming the valedictorian of my class. So which is another really interesting thing. When I was coming on my way to Kampala yesterday, I was in the airport in Addis Ababa for almost 4 hours. So I met the benefactor from the class of 2018. We never met before. I never known him before. But he was Charles from the leadership giving him my number. So he has seen my photo, and I was sitting at the terminal reading a book. So he found me, and we were like, "Oh, you're from the YELP, yeah, which kind?" Then we had a very interesting conversation. What connected us was, the power of the network that the institute, that this platform has created, has given us. And then we found William from the faculty. Then we became 3, Leo of members at the airport, and we had a selfie and shared with Owl. That I didn't know the reason I was taking the selfie, just like a memory, but it shows us more than the memory. Like so many people who are coming from different countries, meeting in Addis Ababa and going for the ALG. Like it is the power of the network. It's the power of the relationship we had. And that's based on the values we shared, value-based leadership, empathy, respect, collaboration. And that is the idea based on the fellowship and the institute. Yeah, I think that will be enough for my summation discussion. Yeah.
Thank you, Mohamed. I think that's a great lesson in resilience there, applying first time and then persisting and eventually applying and getting in the second time. Finally, Cleofash, please talk to us about your journey with YELP from the beginning when you applied to today.
Thank you. Personally, my experience is not so much different from other fellows. I think YELP was the very first fellowship opportunity that I applied for and went through. And I think from the time I went through for YELP, it looked like a boom. I actually didn't know what exactly was the program. So when I get into this program, I meet very many young, amazing people. Coming from a rural space, of course, I had that inferiority complex. These other personalities that I would see on TV, and then now you're in the same room. It was a very huge opportunity for me. So from the first day that I got into the program, personally, I was embarking on just learning from each of the fellows. So every time I would take on one-on-one and try to study their journeys, how they managed to come through, why they are the way they are. Because I came into the program with the main purpose of learning. And then comes in this situation whereby I was voted as inaugural valedictorian of the program. I was very surprised. And I think it was a huge opportunity for me, because I think ever since I was selected as a valedictorian, a lot has changed into my life. I've gotten to different programs because this gave me the exposure. It pushed me into other networks, and it also gave me the courage. When I was designing my valedictorian speech, I think it came from my heart. I wanted to share out that desire within me, because I've always looked at transforming agricultural systems in the continent. And I didn't know, I was just trying to figure out the kind of people that I can move with, those people that give you the courage, those people that have the lessons. I think it has really been amazing to now. I think that's basically my job experience from then on and then up to now. Thank you.
Thank you, Cleofash. And I remember your speech. So it did come from the heart, and it was a very, very powerful speech. Let me come back to you, Cleofash. If you were to highlight like one moment or one part of the experience that you would say was the most significant, or just a general highlights throughout your entire experience, what would you say that was? If you could point to any specific time.
I think it was that time I was announced as a valedictorian, and then at that time when I had to give my speech, I was looking at the quality of the fellows, and I was just like, what do I have to say to these people? I mean, what advice anyway do I have to offer? Because these are the actual people who are supposed to be advising me. So I was a little bit nervous, and I think to me, it left a permanent mark in my heart that day. And I think it was the most memorable experience throughout the entire program.
Mohamed, if you had to highlight one particular moment or experience being part of YELP, what would you describe? What was the most significant and impactful moment for you being part of this journey?
Thanks, Isaac, again. I think most of the sessions, most of the gatherings, most of the events we had with the fellowship was really interesting and amazing. If I could highlight one, was I think when we were attending our second seminar in Kalangala, Victoria Resort. It was, we were learning about having very numerous discussions on issues related to success, failure. We had a number of readings. Those discussions were the rare discussions made in our societies. Nobody usually talks about what does it take to fail, and how to move on from failure, and how to, like recover, take challenges. We had these conversations, and I remember we created a safe space among ourselves. Everyone was openly expressing themselves. Some of us, we couldn't hold our tears. We cried because of we were speaking from our hearts, and that was a moment like everyone will feel like this is a family that is created to think together, to help each other, to exchange, the pains and the joys we have of each other. And since then, we built a very strong relationship among our class. You remember in 2020 when we had the pandemic, most of us were locked in our houses, and we couldn't move from the walls of our house. So we were very connected. When I speak only about from my class, for instance, we had a virtual meetups where everyone will join and tell us what they are going through, how they are feeling, how we can help each other. Some of us could join from the kitchen by cooking. Others could join from like everyone was feeling very free, and that is like something very unique with this community. Like across all the community, all the networks I had in my life, like the YELP community was very much different. If I share some other stories, I could tell many, but some impactful stories. There was a time that one of our fellows were applying a fellowship in the United States, and she wanted to be assisted. So she texted the group, and she was like, "Hey guys, I'm applying this program, and I need to be assisted. Like brainstorm ideas. How can I face this issue?" And almost everyone showed up, and we had a Zoom call and do the application together and tailor the application to high career. And she finally won the program. That is the essence, of being a YELP, which doesn't happen most, any other. It's very rare. We are very open. There's no limitations. We can come up with our own ideas. That's why we are having our own session, like a free YELP, session. Like it's very unique. I'm a part of so many global networks. But YELP is different. Not only different in a sense of its Pan-Africanist, but it's in a sense of almost everything. So, lastly, one of interesting memories I had with the fellowship is the day I was delivering my valedictorian speech. First of all, I wasn't expecting to be selected by my fellows as an outstanding fellow. And then I was so shocked. Then I had to take the challenge and represent to my class, speak on behalf of them. And then writing the speech was challenging, but hopefully I have met the expectations. I crafted speech. I delivered a very long, like holistic speech, which talks about beyond our class. And also expresses some of the moments we had in the fellowship. The speech was talking about more on the future, and the future always based on the past and the present. So we're also highlighting the past and the present. And that speech was crafted and delivered before the pandemic happened. But we still hold those hopes. We still hold those aspirations for ourselves as a class, as a YELP fellows within the network, and also for young emerging leaders for the Africa of today and the near future. Because I came from a country where resilience is much appreciated, because we live in a very fragile governance system, where there's no strong government that delivers most of service required by a citizen who live in this century. But at the same time, we live almost similar to lives that any African, citizen who has a strong government, because of the resilience of our people, of our young people, of our leaders from the private sector, leaders from the academia, leaders from the religious community. So the essence of resilience is also an element which we have learned and applied and adapted during the fellowship. The issue of being adaptable and adaptability has been discussed yesterday very much, and I think we have shown how much resilient fellows we are. We were able to hold our reunion seminars across so many cities. Also, some of us were facing still the challenge of the COVID-19 in terms of health, in terms of mental health issues, in terms of maybe financial issues, but we were able to commit to this program because we know how much valuable, how much it has changed our lives, and how much it can change other people's life. I hope at the end of this conversation, we shall come out with action points that we can expand and enrich the program for wider coverage. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Mohamed. Malath, if you were to point out one moment that you would talk about as a highlight of your experience, what would that moment be?
Well, being a YELP member was the very first opportunity where I engaged in a group or in a discussion where people would boldly speak about effects of leadership based on our experiences, because we are coming from different countries, having different system of governance and leadership. And here we were in a forum whereby ELPs were allowed to freely give feedback and express their feelings on how they feel the leadership of their different countries are happening and how things should be done better. And this also made us feel that we can be heard and we can be seen. And this was a very good way. Personally, when I joined, I was a bit reserved. I wouldn't talk much because I wouldn't say I had much experience with being a leader or taking part in leadership activities. So my job was to just sit down and listen so that at least I can gather as much as possible from the sessions that we were having. So the sessions that we had proved to be very, very important. And every time I came to Uganda and came back home, I would live with something that would make me feel like I need to do something to change the situation that my country is in. And again, I would also learn to appreciate the fact that there are some things that might be running well on our side that are not running well on the other side, and how we can be able to help in changing situations of the various ELPs or the experiences that they were sharing during the sessions. Then another highlight was my graduation. Honestly, the journey was long. It was a long year journey, and so many things happened during that year that might make you not attend those sessions. And I would say that along the way, there are some ELPs who dropped off because of one reason or another. But I was privileged to be able to attend all those sessions and finally graduate. And at the point of graduation, I felt like this is not enough. I wish we had like one more year to interact further, because at that point is when I was being able to freely interact, know my fellow ELPs, know who comes from where and what they do. And since then, we've been engaging and we've been taking part in so many events, both virtual and physical, and it has just been a highlight. The entire experience is just a highlight of everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Malath. Beverly, if you could pinpoint one moment that you would highlight as the most memorable experience for you, what was that?
First of all, whenever we attended the seminars, I always felt like, oh my gosh, I need to read more. I need to I need to understand Africa better. I need to understand the political and the economic landscape of our continent, not just Kenya. So it was always very nice meeting everyone and being challenged intellectually. That was very amazing. But one that I can actually pinpoint happened very recently. And this was this year. When did we have the gathering in Nairobi this year? Yeah. So Awel asked me to moderate a session. And first of all, I was really surprised that he would ask me to do that. As Malath, I don't think I was very vocal in those seminars. So I would ask myself, when he asked me to do this, I asked myself, why is he asking me to do this? I really, like, what did he see? And I was not speaking as much. So I don't know, I think Awel has mystic powers or something. So he was able to come and ask me, oh yeah, I think you should do this. Yeah, I think you have the potential. So I did the session and it went very well. The feedback that I got was quite heartwarming. And so after that, I had a conversation with Wanjuhi. But before that, let me give a little background story. It was during when he came with this request, it came at a time when I was really reflecting on the skills that I have, the path that I'd like to take as an individual in terms of my personal development. And at that time, I was starting to appreciate the gift that I have in moderating sessions. Because at work I was given quite a lot of opportunities to moderate, and the feedback that I would always get was like, yeah, you're very good at it. So before, I used to get that feedback, but it didn't mean much to me. I was like, okay, yeah, anyone can moderate, anyone can speak in a session, anyone can do this. So I never thought of it to be anything special. But I kept on getting this feedback quite a lot, and it made me start thinking, okay, maybe I can actually start working on this thing more seriously. So when Awal made that request, then it hit me. Then I'm like, what an opportunity under this came. So I did the session. Then later on, I spoke to Anjohi. I'm sure all of you know Anjohi. And I was telling you, I think, because Wanjohi also moderates, she does corporate events and all of that. So I was like, yeah, I think you do quite an excellent job. I've seen you moderate. So what tips would you have for me? Like, how would you advise me to go about this now that I'm thinking of taking it seriously? So that happened. She encouraged me, like, yeah, I think you should do it and all of that. After that, now I actually took up a course that a leadership course, but it's also a speaking course on how to communicate and all of that. So which I'm currently doing, and I'll be doing that for the next year. But also during this time, Wanjohi asked me to, there's a session that she was meant to moderate in Kenya. And so, but she was busy, so she couldn't do it. So she asked me to do it outside of Nairobi. And I really wanted to do it, but it came at a time when I was actually, now I'm in Egypt, so for work, so I couldn't do it. So she had to give the opportunity to somebody else. So again, the power of networks, what Barbara was saying, I was really excited because that was going to be my official corporate emceeing event. It didn't happen, but I really appreciated the thought and the fact that she would consider me to take up that big role after her. So the highlight was outsiders, if I could say that, people that I don't work with, seeing something and appreciating me for what it is, and the power of the network. Awel calling me out in that moment to just say, yes, come do this. Speaking to Anjoy is like, yes, you can definitely do it. And then months later, she gives me this opportunity, or rather she recommends me for this opportunity. So that has been my highlight of being a YELP fellow. One of the biggest highlights that I've had so far. Thank you.
Right, thank you all so much. We have about 15 minutes. I wanted to open up to everyone who's listening, but before that, maybe one final question to the panel. If you were to look 10 years into the future, where do you see YELP as a network in the next 10 years? I'll begin with you, Mohamed. Where do you see YELP in the next 10 years?
Well, that's a very good question. As we're now celebrating, as we're getting ready to celebrate next year, our 10th anniversary as an institute, hopefully we should reach a time that all of us coming together and celebrating for the program. It's a decade anniversary. So I see a larger community of leaders from across all spheres of lives, from private sector, public sector, civil society, the religious, faith-based organizations, who are doing an exemplary, amazing work in their workspace, in their communities. I see the YELP community as a program that nurtures the future African elite leaders who will rule our countries and hold, a very influential leadership positions at the African Union or global multilateral institutions. The reason why I'm saying is this, because some of the conversations I had with my fellows are really futuristic. They think beyond themselves. They think beyond their countries. They think they can contribute for the big causes. So I see a very bright future. One day I hope the YELP will be one of the largest, biggest influential leadership program for every emerging African leader across the globe. So for me, the future is very bright. So the future is very challenging to us. So and we believe we have everything that takes to go that far.
Mm-hmm. Cleofash, let me come to you. Where do you see YELP as a network in the next 10 years?
Well, a good one. So in the next 10 years, I look at YELP more as a solid community. I look at a network of young people who are actively engaged in issues concerning our continent. And I'm looking at a network that creates the platforms. I'm looking at that network. For example, when I need to have my project, for example, have a huge impact and a bigger audience, I am looking at a network that gives a young person that opportunity to easily get there. So I'm looking more of YELP as that network. Yeah.
Beverly, where do you see YELP in 10 years as a network?
I see YELP as a network of powerful people in the next 10 years. I mean, like what people are currently doing in their spaces and influencing the different spheres that they're in. I think in the next 10 years, it can only get better from where we're at. So in terms of, we might not necessarily see like Africa as a whole being transformed by who we are, but I think in the small spaces that we are, like for example, Malath in the NGO space that she's in, the guys in the financial sector that they're in, you know, I see transformation in their own small way towards building a better Africa for all of us. So, and I see us together. Most importantly, I still see us together in each other's lives, encouraging and supporting one another. It was said that we are a family, and I think families go beyond 10 years, way beyond 10 years.
Right. Thank you for that. Malath, over to you. Where do you see YELP in the next 10 years?
Okay, so I feel like we young people have the world's best chance to build resilient communities. And the fact that Leo Africa YELP community is in the space is enough indication that we are going to be at a higher place in 10 years to come. And I reflect back on discussions that were there yesterday morning when Awel was moderating the session with Liz, Awel, and Angelo, where he spoke that what drove him to create Leo Africa Institute was the fact that he used to go to seminars and conferences out of Africa. And those guys would speak about African perspective, but not in a manner which that appeals to probably what he feels or what he experiences back home. So in 10 years' time, I'm seeing YELP community reaching more countries. It not only being an Eastern regional thing, but something that can be identified with all over Africa, in the sense that everybody's capacity will be improved, local capacity will be improved to be resilient and to take up positions of leadership, because currently, even in Africa, we don't have more young leaders. Most of our leaders are people who are past youth age. So if the YELP spirit is going to be ingrained in each and every youth in Africa, I think we're going to have a different Africa, and you're also going to have a different system of leadership that can be able to steer our continent forward and even be able to fight the challenges that we normally face. Because we realize that currently we are living in a fast-paced environment where things change every day. So if you're not going to be able to keep up with the changes that we experience every day, or with the challenges and the disasters that we experience, you're not going to go anywhere. So YELP being a platform that can be able to ingrain that in the minds of the African youth, I think we are going to be having a large community in 10 years, which can be able to fight the challenges that Africa is facing.
Thank you for that. I'd now like to open up to anyone who has something they want to share. If you feel like you have been, challenged to say something, please raise your hand. But before that, I'll read something that Barbara has written in the chat, saying the next 10 years, I see country leaders that will transform the continent economically, socially, but most importantly, young people that will give back power to the people, give power back to the people. Thank you for that, Barbara. So if there's anyone on the call that would like to share about your experience, please, the floor is yours. So you can just raise your hand and I'll pick on you. But if there's no one, I can also pick on someone. So let me pick on my friend Raymond. Raymond, we started this journey together. At the time, we didn't know each other, but we've become good friends since then. So how would you describe your journey with YELP like? Raymond, over to you.
Thank you so much, Isaac. It's been an interesting journey. I'd like to say I've met a couple of friends who made it worth the while, but also I've sort of had dreams, some actualized, some on the path of actualization, and I think that that's good for me. I don't dream in the big terms of we'll have leaders for the country and the like, but what I dream is really we'll be able to solve some of the problems we have in our community, and some of these problems really require our immediate attention. And I'm talking about problems like inequality. I'm talking about problems like access to education, access to health. Those are things that I'm looking forward that as a network we can solve, and we can solve in such a way that the generation that comes after us doesn't have to deal with them. They have to deal with the much bigger things. So truly, for me, I think that the network should be able to do that. I also think that the network should be able to increase socialization. This is, of course, its core. It's at the heart of every fellowship. There must be a society, a sort of community. And I'd love to see increased socialization. I'd love to see more in terms of people moving from border to border, spending time with each other, doing things with each other, and who knows where that goes. So in the real sense of things, I'd love to see a stronger community. And also I'd love for us to solve some of the problems that exist in our community so that the generation that comes after us doesn't have to go before them.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Raymond. Let me ask Christian. Christian, what's your view of YELP? How have you grown since you started this journey? And if you were to talk to someone today who's thinking of applying to YELP, what would you advise them? Christian.
Thank you, Isaac. When I applied to the YELP program, so I didn't know what was going on because I got the link from another person, and that person was not even a YELP fellow or graduate. I mean. So it helped me to reflect once I attended the first seminar and at Kasenge, and then afterwards I was like, okay, this thing is really moving at a faster rate, I would say. And since then, I've seen an improvement through my working space, my learning environment, so my university, because I was still a student. And the time I graduated and the time I graduated from this also program, I was like, now this is a program I would wish the person who gave me the link would have applied, because he applied but he never came. So I would also wish to give this to other people, because it really helped me in my career, whether student or work environment. And I'm waiting to see the next YELP classes that will come. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Christian. I'm also going to read something that's in the chat from Linda. In the next 10 years, I see an Africa that will enable Africans experience equality and equity. I foresee immense growth in the YELP family. Thank you for that. Is there any final submission? Is there anyone who wants to say something before we bring this to an end? If there's none, I'd also like to lend my voice in thanking the institutes for creating YELP. I think everyone has a positive story to tell when it comes to their experience with YELP and what it's meant for them as young leaders, and looking into the future as well. It's something that we're looking to sustain and to carry on this program forward, and also to pay forward, to bring those that are not part of this network to let them know about it and to bring them on board. I think it's important that we keep these conversations going in our groups and in person, and to take this to another level. And I think Conrad, in his speech later, will talk about what the future looks like for YELP. Before I close, I see Kwesi has his hand raised. Kwesi.
Thank you, Isaac. I came in because I thought I would hear more, testimonies and stories from the fellows. So I felt I would nudge them. I think my experience with the YELP community this year, and you could well extend that to the YELP community after the pandemic. I think lots of networks were challenged because we could no longer travel within countries because of lockdowns. The airports were closed, so we could not even travel within the region or internationally. So most networks that had not envisioned some kind of virtual community really struggled, and there are platforms of global reputation that have taken a serious hit, among them the World Economic Forum. But I felt for us, the pandemic gave us a much deserved break to reflect on what exactly we have been up to these last 3 or 4 years. And I think it brought forward in many ways the idea of the reunion seminars. We had had it, but frankly, and I know Awel can contribute to this, we did not see it happening so soon as 1 year after the 3 classes had graduated. So I think that's one of the things we have the pandemic to thank for, but also having been to each of the reunion seminars in Nairobi, Dar es Salaam, and Kigali, I think it made me appreciate the value of the investment we've made over the years, because I think 80% of the work and the heavy lifting was done by our fellows. We would only arrive a day before the seminar, but during that time, it's the fellows in touch with the hotel, connecting youth service providers, connecting with this speaker or the other speaker. So I think if this was a test, you as the network, you've passed it with outstanding colors. And of course, the interconnectedness within the network and the opportunities that is bringing, which is why I expected to hear from someone like Benefik. I don't know if Benefik is on the line, but I know we've been having a series of conversations with Benefik when he left Burundi to go back to DRC, and eventually now the opportunity he has in Goma was as a result of some extended networks that the institute has with CAS, but also another initiative is running is directly born out of his YELP experience. I felt he should speak about that, and the fellows will really benefit from the insight. Thank you very much, Isaac.
Thank you, Kwesi. Benefik, you've been called on, so please share with us your experience.
So thank you, Kwesi. I was even asking as we were at the same place with Christian. I was like, should I share my testimony because it takes longer than like it might go beyond the time that we had for the session. I think I'll try to go it briefly and maybe starting by the end where Kwesi was talking about the position I have now in Goma. The fact that, like for me, being a YELP fellow is one of the things that I always put in front because I believe it's one of the greatest programs I've ever attended, and it has like a great network of people that I know I always put it in front. And when applying in this position, like this is something I always like. Though I knew I didn't have much background, but it's something I've been doing for I can say volunteering. And when I saw that it was in partnership with the Leo African Institute and with Uganda and DRC, then I just texted Kwesi and I was like, Kwesi was even one sharing the link to me about the position. And I think I'm very interested. I go through the profile they were looking for, and I told Kwesi, I feel this position like fits my personality and my interest, my career aspiration as well. And I think I should apply. I don't know where I go. Then he said, you can apply, then we can maybe try to see what to do, like whether we can say something. I applied, and thanks God, I go to this, like to the selection process, and yeah, I went through the interview, and here I am now. Like I'm feeling. Kwesi was asking me how I was working, casting. I was just thinking like I'm feeling alive. I'm doing what I like doing, and I feel like I'm contributing because of the work I'm doing with this project, Great Lakes, and yeah, I think it has a lot more to do with my background with YELP fellow, like with the YELP program.
Yeah. Thank you, Benefik. That was very powerful. I'm going to read what Elizabeth wrote in the chat. In the next 10, I see YELP fellows occupying the spaces, leading and embodying our values, principles, building forward stronger together, being each other's critical friends, and walking the talk of the Africa we want. Finally, let me ask Liz to very quickly say something. We're not running out of time, but Liz, over to you, and then we'll close.
Thanks, Isaac. I know I just wanted to give I know I gave my experience in the panel yesterday, but I just wanted to give one good experience we had, sort of like tapping into the network. You know, we hosted as the Global Shapers in Nairobi, Shape Africa in 2019. And it was a very, very good event in terms of us coming out and really putting something together that even WEF was very impressed with. But I have to thank Awel for really opening up his networks in Nairobi to help us really get the deputy president and get us, you know, 2 advisors who really connected us to the rest of our corporate sponsors and all that. And it was just through tapping into that network that we're able to get quite a lot of benefits and being able to position ourselves even in Kenya. And funny enough, a lot of people were asking us, how are you able to do that? Because Manjuhi and myself are fellows, but we're also global shapers. And a lot of people did not understand how we were able to bring that because we didn't have these networks before. So I just want to say that that was, I think, a very powerful way in which we tapped into the YELP network to help us now do something that was related to a different network, I would say. But we wouldn't be able to achieve that without the connections that we got. So that's just another way in which we've benefited immensely from this network. And I think a lot of what Barbara was talking about is actually this, you know, how do we share our problems and see how the rest of the network can support us. And I think that was a very great example for us. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Liz. I know we could go on for forever, but unfortunately we have to bring this to a close. We've gone slightly over time, but hopefully the institute will forgive us. I'd now like to invite Conrad to deliver some remarks. Conrad? Conrad, please.
Hello, sorry. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope my audio is okay. To everyone we're with over the past couple of days, especially last night, we're happy to have you here. So, guys, my whole point here, my keynote is, what is YELP in the future? One of is, I'll be honest with you, I prepared a very nice speech, prepared it, recorded and everything, but it didn't work out. And now I'm understanding why the value is that we have to have one-on-one, why we sit down and take in what everyone has said and actually have the conversation as opposed to something that's pre-recorded. YELP has been the cornerstone of the institute. Not to brag about ourselves, but like we have been the ones that have made the institute recognize its biggest achievements. I started the conversation with YELP, something about to do young people with OWL about 2014. Yeah, so 10 years, I'm counting 15 years. Yeah, and now it's about what do we do in the future and how do we go forward and make ourselves better. So this place we're in, this YELP, this brotherhood, this fellowship, this sisterhood, we're a family and we're getting together. We've had 5 years of YELP with 3 cohorts. And 5 years, you have to understand that there have been 2 years of COVID. So sustainability, if we're looking at sustainability, we have achieved more than very many other people do. And in that sense, it's reflective of what it means for us to be thought leaders. Now, when I talk about thought leaders, I want to bring you back to people like Thomas Sankara, Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral. Like, these are people who made speeches years ago, but we still sit here and we reflect on what they told us and what they thought about and where they knew this Africa could go. And all of you, by joining YELP, you wanted an Africa that you want, a narrative change. And that's why we're here. So where is the future? Now with YELP, the main thing is we are building trust amongst ourselves. You know me, I know you, we trust each other. And with building trust, we build networks. Carl said something along those lines the other day when he was here yesterday, actually. If we can have that network, if we can build trust amongst ourselves, then that's where we're going to in the future. It's a community that has come up on the values, on the ideals, on the ideas, on the beliefs that we all share of where do we want to go, who do we want to be, what can we achieve for one another. So as I come to you on what we're going to be, YELP in the future, and now YELP is going to break up into 2 parts. And forgive me for not saying this earlier. There's YELP 2.0, the new program coming in for the individuals who are going to join us. YELP 2.0 is going to tap into our mature networks. Mature is something that we talked about yesterday. Not the older networks, but networks that have been there for years. The African Leadership Institute, the Aspen Institute, institutes that our own founders have gone to and have understood institutes that we can also tap into. We want to create a curriculum that is going to bring on board the values, the systems, and the understanding that these people have gone for, and these people understand, and then we tap into it as individuals. And then there's also going to be, on the other side, the YELP alumni, which I'm most passionate about. The idea that you people have gone through this program, you have benefited, you have created a network space for your passions, for your ideas, for your hopes, and for everything that we imagine. And then I'll tell you this, I'm the most cynical of people, and the class of 2017 will tell you this. I am the person who is going to always look at where are we failing or where are we going to fail? How do we fail to do what we set out for? Yet at the same time, how do we most embrace ourselves when we achieve what we have set out for? So there are three main criteria that YELP in the future has to be. We're talking about imagined communities. Now, this is what we imagine our community to be. You have seen prime ministers come out of England from a single school, Eton, go to universities and belong to clubs like the Burlington. You have seen Alpha Kappa Alpha in the United States. You have seen Skull and Bones. I'm not saying that that's what we seek to create, but I'm simply saying, why can't we have a space where we decide and we talk about what we love and we desire? I'm going to ask you to forgive me for the background noise. It's Sunday morning, rain is falling, annoying with the song, but circumstances happen. So the three main components for you as YELP fellows who have been and who are coming to. The first thing is we have to be champions. We have to be owners of this program. In that instance, we have to understand of how can we be involved, what we give back for what we have benefited. Liz yesterday talked about it, and she told us that you only get what you give. This institute is going to demand as much from you as it is giving you. And I want us to embrace that. I want us to be happy with that. Huh? We are going to be able to give the institute back in different ways. Service in different ways. Guys, some of you will have time to come onto the call today. Some of you will look at the call on another day. Another chunk of you will have advice. Another bit of you can give monetary contribution. It's about how we build up something for our own. Share with you, the institute is giving us a liaison officer, and we're splitting. We're not splitting per se of we're going away on our own, but we're creating a community within a community. The YELP Fellowship has to be a community on its own, and that's the driving goal. That's the foundational aim, that we take up ownership as fellows, as people who have been here, that we can create a system that is ours and ours as we determine and we believe. The institute has been good to us. We have who has given us this chance to meet. We have Kwesi who takes his time. Oh my God, Kwesi takes so much time to make us come together. Yet at the same time, we now have to look forward of how do we build this? The classes of 2017, 2018, 2019, the future classes of 2022, 2025. And we sit down and we create an amalgamation of everything that works for us. So that we have to be the champions, and we're going to call upon you. It could be for your advice. It could be for your understanding. It could be for you to open for us doors. Well, it could be for you to contribute as fellows. As fellows, we need to know that this is our dream, this is what we believe in, and this is what we put money into, or this is what we fund for us. I want tomorrow to be the kind of place whereby we are finding each other and we're helping each other. And on that point, I go on to the second thing. We are creating a support system, a family. When I say a support system, I don't mean that out of every failure that you will pull onto someone, or out of every benefit or every growth that you're looking at people. The support system has to be that I can pick up my phone and call Liz and call Isaac and call Malath tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm in Nairobi. I would want to understand the ecosystem you're operating, the ecosystem that you're doing, and how do I plug in? Guys, we are a fellowship. We do not have to always say, I never talked to him. He was not my friend. We do not have to be friends. We are brothers, brethren, sisters in a fellowship. I want you to be comfortable to come into Kampala and call me and tell me, Conrad, I'm looking for a connection to ABC. How can you do that for me? I want to go to Nairobi and be able to pick up my phone call. I want to go to Somalia and ask Okash, I want to meet this person. What can Okash do for me? That is the understanding of who we're going to be. 10 years from now, I imagine space is that we are going to be the thought leaders, the trendsetters, the people who are running our economies, our governments tomorrow and the days after. And what are you doing about it? How are you plugging into a network of people that you understand? How are you looking at people that have been there for you and people who understand you and telling yourself that it doesn't matter if I haven't talked to him in 10 years, in 5 years, we are members of a fellowship. And that's what Leo and YELP in the future is going to be. The fact that we are a family. Guys, from this thing, we have been connected. From my personal experience with Raymond, I was Raymond's best man. I've never been a best man to anybody, but I was Raymond's best man. I took pride in that and where we've come from. I will call and put out BB and Joanita. They've gotten married as fellows. These are two fellows getting married. So we're creating not just a support system that helps you, but we're creating a family. A family that I want us to understand that today it is just between us. Tomorrow, in the 10 years to come, we have to be calling our spouses to join into things that, like the annual leaders gathering. Our spouses have to understand that this is a fellowship of like-minded people. I would want our children to sit down and know that when I go on holiday across the country, I have an auntie and uncle who is daddy's friend and who understands. And then those children have to be impacted upon the very values that we believe in. Those values, if we transcend them from just our cohorts to our friends, to our families, to our offsprings, then we get the Africa that we want. And that is the basic ideal that we're pushing for. And in speaking about family, we understand that people have their own issues. Liz said it the other day. yesterday actually, that we may go away for a few days. We may not be present for an ALG. We may not come for a summit. But because you don't come for a summit doesn't mean the family forgets you. You could go away for a year, for 2 years, but at the end of it, remember, I belong to the YELP family. And when you belong, we will always remember you. You will always be a part of us. So I want to encourage this between ourselves and between past individuals who have been in our cohorts. When you feel like I've been away for too long, and how do I come back? Remember, we are a family. You will always be welcome back. We understand you need to go off. And there's so many of us who are here. We will always understand you need to go off, but you will always come back. So on the last thing, I say we are developing agency. Hashim talked about it yesterday. In response to Raymond's question, actually. We have got an agency. 4 years ago, when we started off YELP in 2017, so many of us were just starting out. So many of us were dreamers. I was a dreamer, my God. I imagined. But today, we have the agency. Your reporter of 4 years ago is your editor, is your management control. Your founder has an institute on himself with so many people following them. And that's why I say shout out to Abbas, to Bibi, Benjamin. They have created things that we can only imagine and can only support. As fellow members, like we come together and we look at what you're doing. I look at the awesomeness of our group. And it's the same awesomeness that I hope for in the 2018 and 2019 group. That all of us become one in each other. That we no longer have class groups, but we have one group. All of us supporting each other. And that is the future of YELP in the 10 years to come, in the 5 years to come. Heck of all, in the 3 years to come. We have the agency. We are the people motivating, encouraging. And we are the faces that will be today and tomorrow. And I want to say this in the sense of the agency that we get. The more knowledge you get, the more frustrated you become because your eyes are open. And that was said at the African Leadership Institute, 2015 class. We are starting to see more. And it's that same lens that I want us to remember. Wherever you are, when you get into that space, I want you to remember that it is more complicated. As Hashim said yesterday, it is more complicated than we understand. And then America Cabral said something. I couldn't find it, but I remember it, and it goes along the lines of, no matter what you see, no matter what you believe, do not let the life that you are living be corrupted by the life you envision. Guys, we are YELP. We are the future of Africa. We are more and we're going to be more. But I do not want us, the contrarian in me will always tell you, I do not want us to become idealists. Remember where you are, remember how you've gotten where you are, and keep that in mind. We have ideas, we have dreams. Let us bridge those ideas with where we are, and then let's not fail ourselves by being overly idealistic. Let us not fail ourselves and then fail to see what we can do. with that, I am grateful for all of you. I am grateful for the teams that I've made. I'm grateful for the people I interact with. You guys are awesome. And in the coming months, we are going to give you something that builds the institute, that builds YELP in itself. So the institute is launching the YELP alumni program. And this is a program that so many of you have heard about, and it's going to be run by ourselves. Liz Mwange is our president, and she is an awesome person, and she has a team that is going to come on. You have people like Okash, you have people like Akampa, all these people who are coming on board. Isaac is just giving us seminar experiences, guys. I mean, I've tried to give you seminar experiences, but like Isaac's experiences are going to be so much more. So in that space, in that spirit, can we be more for each other? Can we be champions for each other? And can we be champions for the institute? As I finish off, I'm going to give us a quote from Sankara. He said, "You cannot carry out change without a certain degree of madness." In this case, it comes from non-conformity, the courage to turn our back on old formulas, and invent the future. We are inventing the future. We are the future. And besides, as it continues, it took the madmen of yesterday for us to be able to act with the extreme clarity of today. I want to be one of those madmen. And you madmen and mad women of the YELP program, I can only say, I am glad to be one of you. In my smallest endeavors, I can only say, this is a fellowship, a brotherhood, a sisterhood of individuals who know what they want and who know where they're pushing to. And for that, I thank you for your time. I wish you the most ultimate of success in your endeavors. And I hope and pray to God that we may be more and we can do more. So with that, that is the end of my keynote. And I tell you, imagine communities and imagine our future of Europe. We will be more. We are more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Conrad. Those are very powerful words. Thank you for encouraging us to be mad people. But I think it's been an awesome 3 days talking about resilience, imagine communities. And I think, you know, the words of Conrad really sum that up well. And I think, you know, it's up to us now to take this network to the next level. And so I just want to thank you all for joining this call. Thank you all for participating, for your commitment to the network and to the Institute. It now falls on me to officially close the gathering. And so I'll speak on behalf of the Institute to thank you all and wish you a very good week, a very good year ahead next year and going forward. So thank you all. We have officially closed the gathering. So I don't know if Kwesi or Owl want to say one final word, but if not, we'll bring this to an end. So Kwesi, Owl.
Nothing on my part, maybe Owl.
No, nothing on my part either. It's just been a really pleasure and gratifying just listening into your conversations. And yes, Happy New Year to everybody. And we'll continue in communication and you know, virtually and on email. And look forward to the future of y'all. Thank you, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, everyone, and have a good Sunday, a good week ahead, and all the best. Thank you.